What if the Pentagon UAP files just released are real? Subscribe for a new story every night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Let's get into tonight's case. On July 24, 2026, the Department of War did something it had never done before. It opened a public portal at war.gov/UFO and began posting its own UAP files. The portal runs under a new system called Pursue, the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System UAP Encounters. Pursue grew out of an executive order signed by President Donald Trump earlier in the year. The first batch contained 162 files covering more than 400 incidents, eyewitness statements, technical sensor analyses, photographs, audio recordings, full incident dossiers with names, dates, and signatures. Each file has a metadata sheet naming the platform, date, time, location, and unit. A White House statement said the United States government is committed to complete and maximum transparency on the subject of unidentified anomalous phenomena. The statement said the rolling release would continue every 2 weeks until every UAP file had been made public. By the third batch, the count had passed 300. This is the largest single declassification of UAP material in United States history. The first batch was organized into 7 categories by the Department of War's press office: military pilot reports, military sensor data, naval aviator reports, radar tracks, ground-based eyewitness reports, foreign partner reports, and historical files. The military pilot reports category held 101 files. Each is a written statement from a rated military aviator, mostly Navy and Air Force, describing a specific incident in which the aviator saw, attempted to intercept, or was unable to intercept an aerial object that performed in a way no known aircraft could perform. Each statement has the aviator's name, rank, current assignment, and contact information for verification. The military sensor data category held 31 files, mostly ATF-LIR, the Advanced Targeting Forward-Looking Infrared Pod, carried by F-18S, plus electro-optical and infrared tracks from other military aircraft. The radar tracks category held 14 files. The tracks show objects moving at speeds and in patterns that the analysts at the time could not match to any known aircraft, missile, drone, balloon, or natural phenomenon. The historical files category held the smallest number, 8 files, but the most surprising material. Dated June 25, 1999, a Navy commander's eyewitness statement about a near collision with a fast-moving, silent, unlit aerial object off the Virginia coast. Dated October 18, 2004, an Air Force pilot statement about a Tic Tac shaped object that hovered for several minutes over a Nevada range and then accelerated out of sight in a fraction of a second. Dated November 14, 2007, a radar track of an object that moved at more than Mach 5 at an altitude of less than 1,000 feet over the Pacific, with no transponder signal, no flight plan, and no sonic boom. The first batch, on its own, is a more complete public record of United States military UAP encounters than anything that has ever been made available. The second batch, posted August 1st, was the one that broke the story. The second batch, posted August 1st, contained 64 files. Press coverage focused almost entirely on 2 files, because those 2 are the most extraordinary items the Department of War has ever released in a single public posting. The first of those files is a 2025 FBI Form 302, the FBI's standard incident report form. The form was filed by a special agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation embedded with a United States Army helicopter unit. The form describes an encounter over restricted military airspace in the southwestern United States. The helicopter, an AH-64 Apache, was on a night training exercise at approximately 9,000 feet. The crew saw, on their infrared displays, multiple objects described in the form as, quote, superheated orbs, end quote. within 10 feet of the helicopter. Visible on the infrared display for 20 miles, the orbs were traveling at a speed the helicopter could not match. They were not on radar. They carried no transponders. They had no flight plans. They did not correspond to any known aircraft, missile, drone, balloon, or natural phenomenon. Then, the orbs changed direction. Then they accelerated away at a rate the helicopter could not begin to intercept. The Form 302 was filed within hours of the encounter. It went up the chain of command. It stayed classified for a year. It was declassified and released as part of the August 1st batch. The second file is a 2025 first-hand account from a senior intelligence officer, written and signed with the officer's name redacted at the officer's own request for personal safety. The encounter is described as, quote, the most disturbing event of my career, end quote. The officer says he was, quote, virtually speechless for several minutes afterward, end quote. He says he has, since the encounter, had difficulty sleeping, has had recurring intrusive thoughts, and has sought counseling through the Veterans Administration. Taken together, the two files are the most concrete evidence of an ongoing UAP encounter the United States government has ever made public. For the first time, the government is not denying that the encounters are happening. It is providing the encounter reports with names, dates, and signatures attached. The reason the August 1st release was possible at all is two men who kept the UAP story in the public eye long enough for the executive order to become politically possible. Ryan Graves is a former F-18 pilot who flew with the Navy off the coast of Virginia in the 2015 to 2020 period. In a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing on April 19, 2023, Graves told the senators that UAP were a daily occurrence for Navy aviators in the training ranges off the Virginia coast. His squadron had documented multiple encounters with unidentified objects, demonstrating capabilities no known technology could match. The objects were often spherical, sometimes cylindrical. On at least one occasion, an object appeared to dive below the water and remain there for an extended period. This was the first time a rated military aviator, still in uniform, had made a public statement to Congress about UAP encounters. The testimony was widely reported. It was the first domino in a chain that led, 3 years later, to the Pursue Executive Order. David Grusch is a former officer with the National Reconnaissance Office and a former representative to the UAP Task Force. In a House Oversight Subcommittee hearing on July 26, 2023, Grusch told the members, under oath, that the United States government, quote, is in possession of non-human craft, end quote. He went further, telling the committee that the government runs, quote, a UAP retrieval program, end quote, ongoing for decades. Grusch has interviewed, in the course of his official duties, multiple individuals with direct knowledge of the retrieval program. In his professional judgment, the retrieved craft are, quote, of non-human origin, end quote. This was the most extraordinary statement ever made to the United States Congress by a serving intelligence officer on the subject of UAP. It was the second domino in the disclosure chain. Both men were present at the Department of War press conference on July 24, 2026, when the first Pursue batch was released. Both spoke. Both said the Pursue release was the beginning of a long overdue transparency. Two other insiders, Luis Elizondo and Dr. Karl Nell, have also gone public with UAP information the United States government had previously kept classified. Luis Elizondo is a former senior intelligence officer who ran the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, the Pentagon's official UAP investigation program, from 2012 to 2017. Elizondo resigned from the Department of War in 2017 in protest, he has said, of the program's continued lack of funding and lack of political support. Since his resignation, he has been one of the most visible advocates for full UAP disclosure in the country. In a 60 Minutes interview in 2021, Elizondo said the United States government, quote, has been aware of the UAP problem for a very long time, end quote. The Department of War has, in his personal opinion, quote, materials from non-human origin, end quote, currently, quote, the subject of study, end quote, by a small number of cleared researchers in a small number of cleared facilities. Dr. Karl Nell is a retired United States Army officer and a former contractor to the UAP task force. In a public statement in 2023, Nell said he has been briefed on the UAP issue at the highest levels of the United States military. Personally, he has examined evidence he considers, quote, compelling and unambiguous, end quote. In his professional opinion, the evidence supports the conclusion that UAP are, quote, not of human origin, end quote. Nell's statement carried unusual weight. He is a current contractor to the Department of War, not a retired analyst speaking from the outside. He was speaking with the weight of his current security clearance and his current access. It was the third domino in the disclosure chain. Elizondo, Nell, Graves, and Grusch have all, separately, said the same thing. The government is in possession of UAP material. The government has been studying that material for decades. The government has not, until the Pursue executive order, been willing to let the public see what it has. The Pursue release includes, for the first time, a substantial number of UAP files from United States military encounters in the Indo-Pacific theater. Two of those files, both released in the first batch, have drawn particular attention from analysts. The first file documents a 2020 encounter over the Yellow Sea, between the Korean Peninsula and the coast of China. A United States Air Force RC-135 Rivet Joint Electronic Surveillance aircraft on a routine intelligence gathering mission detected, on its sensor suite, an object at approximately 25,000 feet. Stationary at that altitude, the object measured, according to the sensor data, between 12 and 15 feet tall. It was shaped like a six-pointed star. The crew took photographs. The crew took sensor readings. The encounter was briefed through normal channels. It stayed classified for 6 years and was declassified and released as part of the Pursue first batch on July 24, 2026. The second file documents a 2015 encounter over the East China Sea, north of the Senkaku Islands. A United States Navy P-8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft on a routine surveillance mission detected, on radar, an object at approximately the same altitude as the aircraft. Shaped like a football, the object was not on any flight plan. It carried no transponder. It did not appear in any commercial or military database. The crew attempted to intercept. The object accelerated away, disappearing from radar at a distance of approximately 100 nautical miles. The commanding officer wrote in the report that the maneuver was, quote, inconsistent with any known propulsion technology, end quote. Both encounters involved some of the most sophisticated United States surveillance platforms in operation. In the judgment of the analysts who wrote the original reports, both are impossible to explain as natural phenomena or as known human technology. Until the Pursue release, the two encounters were known to the intelligence community, to the Senate Armed Services Committee, and to a small number of cleared analysts at the National Security Agency. They are now known to the public, with names, dates, locations, and sensor data attached. The official United States government UAP investigation program is the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO. AARO was established in July 2022 by an act of Congress as the successor to the UAP Task Force. Its mission is to investigate every UAP report made by United States military and intelligence personnel. The first AARO director was Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, a former intelligence officer with a doctorate in physics. Kirkpatrick ran AARO from July 2022 until December 2024, when he retired. In multiple congressional hearings during his tenure, Kirkpatrick said AARO was, quote, taking the UAP problem very seriously, end quote. and was, quote, collecting sensor data from every platform in the United States military inventory, end quote. As of his retirement, AARO had more than 800 open UAP cases. In a public statement in 2024, Kirkpatrick said the majority of UAP cases, when investigated, turn out to be, quote, ordinary phenomena, end quote, including drones, balloons, and atmospheric effects. A small number, however, remain, in his word, quote, unresolved, end quote. Those unresolved cases, quote, deserve further investigation, end quote. Kirkpatrick's successor as AARO director, appointed January 2025, has not yet been publicly named, but the office has continued to release periodic updates. The most significant update so far under the Pursue order is the Historical Record Report, posted as part of the August 1st release. The Historical Record Report is a 600-page document that summarizes every UAP case the United States government has investigated, from 1996 to the present. Covering more than 1,500 cases, the report says more than half were resolved as ordinary phenomena. Approximately 300, however, remain, in the report's own words, quote, technically unresolved, end quote, meaning the government has, in its own internal records, formally classified those cases as unexplained. The Historical Record Report is the most complete official record of United States government UAP investigation that has ever been made public. The report is not a confirmation of any particular UAP encounter. The report is, however, a confirmation that the United States government has, in its own internal files, 300 cases it cannot explain. The Pursue rolling release is, as of the third batch in mid-August 2026, the largest single declassification of UAP material in United States history. The release is ongoing, on a 2-week cadence. So far, the release has produced more than 300 files covering more than 400 incidents, plus the Historical Record Report, plus the 800 open cases AARO had on its books at the end of Kirkpatrick's tenure. Among the material already published, the FBI Form 302 of the superheated Orbs broke the front page of every major newspaper in the world. The 2020 Yellow Sea Six-Pointed Star and the 2015 East China Sea Football were both kept classified for years before the Pursue release made them public. The AARO Historical Record Report offered the most explicit official statement on record that the United States government has unresolved UAP cases. What the release has not yet produced is a photograph of a recovered craft, a piece of physical evidence, or an admission from the government that it is in possession of non-human craft. No second tranche is coming on a separate track. No back-channel disclosure is pending. The release is the release. Subscribe for a new story every night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Never miss a case. What if the Pentagon UAP files just released? The 400 incidents, the superheated Orbs, the senior intelligence officer who was virtually speechless, the six-pointed star over the Yellow Sea, the football over the East China Sea, the 300 cases the AARO cannot explain were real? What if the question, in 2026, is not whether the United States government has been studying UAP, but what it has been finding in its 300 unexplained cases, in its 60 years of classified investigation, in the files the Pursue order is still preparing to release?